Thanks, Don. Okay, welcome everybody. Sorry we're running a little bit late, but we had an executive session beforehand to discuss some personnel matters. Let's start this off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Could you all remain standing in memory of Officer Justin Bickart's son Gunnar, who passed away sadly last week? Thank you. Okay, well, you may notice that there's been some changes up here. For those of you who attended in August, you know that Ted Parker moved away, unfortunately, and therefore had to retire as president. I'm Bob Paul, the current vice president, and as a first order of business, we need to reorganize council.
Roll call first.
Excuse me?
Roll call first.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. See, I'm a newbie at this. Secretary, can we have a roll call of council?
Certainly.
Virginia's not here. We introduce ourselves?
No, bear with me. Bear with me, please. You will all need to bear with me this evening because I will be taking the record, the vote record. Okay. Roll call. Ms. Price Engelhardt? Here. Ms. Hull? Here. Mr. Lubin?
Here.
Mrs. Murray? Absent. Mr. Paul?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mrs. Sherlock? Here. Mr. Parker is no longer here. Solicitor?
Yes, Scott Holbert on behalf of Flagrant Associates.
Manager Danko. Roll call, Council President.
Mr. President, I have a question for our solicitor.
Yes.
Normally, in this case, you would hand over the gavel to the mayor during this, but he's not here.
No, that is for your normal, regular reorganization meetings we have.
Not an interim.
In this case, what happened was we had a resignation of a member of council who happened to be a council officer. The vice president, now as acting vice president, will handle the process.
Thank you.
And once the new president is elected, they would take over the gavel.
I nominate Bob Paul for council president.
I second that.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Okay, I guess we'll close the nominations. We can do this by voice vote, I take it?
Yes.
All in favor of Bob Paul for president?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. I am humbled by the support of my fellow council members. I hope I can be as committed and dedicated to the job as Ted Parker and our predecessors. Next, we have, I'll entertain nominations for council vice president.
I
I'd like to
nominate Helen for vice president.
Second?
You don't actually need seconds for nominations, just,
Never mind.
yeah.
And I would like to nominate Catherine Price Engelhardt for vice president, please.
Anyone else? Okay, we have Catherine Price Engelhardt and Helen Halal as nominees. We'll do a roll call and identify your choice. Okay.
This nomination and roll call will be for, the nomination was by Mr. Lubin nominating Helen Hahol. The roll
no-
call will,
They're going to, what Mr. Paul explained, just, they're going to say who they're voting for. It's not an up or down on each person. It's just who they're voting for. That way we can go through it a little quicker.
okay, so you want me to call them out?
Yes, just ask, call out each council member and they will say which nominee they are voting for.
Certainly. Mr. Robinson?
Did you call me out?
Yes, Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, Helen Lahol.
Ms. Sherlock?
Catherine.
Each individual can vote for themselves also. Ms. Hahol?
Myself, Helen Lahol.
Mr. Lubin?
For Helen.
Mr. Paul?
Catherine Price Engelhardt.
And Catherine? Okay, so at this time, we have 3 for Catherine. 1,
Again, a question for the attorney. I believe
1,
we keep voting this way until it breaks.
and we have 3 for Helen. 1, 2, 5, 6. Yes, so we have a tie.
Okay, let's vote again.
If that's the correct,
President,
Yes, ma'am.
I just asked, since we're missing Carlisa, and we're also missing a new person, which who knows who they'll vote, but can we table this to the next meeting? Because at least we have a president now. Because I think it's a vote not going to change.
There's a motion to table. You would need a second and then possibly take a vote on it if there is a second.
So how do you
I said-
want to present that?
You would like to make a motion to
I'll-
table?
I'll second that.
Okay, I so moved and he seconded. Okay. I need to spell it out. I so moved that we table
Yes.
vice president and pro tem till the following meeting when we have a full quorum.
Certainly.
We have a quorum. The question is whether we have a full complement.
Yeah, and it'd be nice for all of the council to participate.
So motion to table the vice president nominations by Catherine, second by Bob Paul.
Right.
I believe the motion was to table both the vice president and the president pro tem. Was that correct?
Yes.
It is now.
Are we going to have a vote?
yes, we do have to vote.
Okay.
I can see where we're going again.
Yes. Roll call. Ms. Price Engelhardt?
Yeah, discussion before this?
It's a motion to table, so there's no discussion.
I learned that the hard way a few months ago.
So the vote is yes if we want to table it.
Correct.
Correct.
I vote yes for table it.
Ms. Hahol?
No.
Mr. Lubin?
No.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
No.
Ms. Sherlock?
Yes,
3 noes and 3 yeses.
That leaves you with,
Can't table it.
you cannot table it. You will have to keep voting and hope someone changes their vote or withdraws their interest from the position.
Okay.
so should I make that motion again then?
No, you don't. We have
Just keep
the
voting?
nominees for vice president. We will vote again for the second round. So calling the names.
Okay. Bear with with me. This wasn't made to do this, so apologies. Okay. It would either be Helen or Catherine. Ms. Price Engelhardt,
Catherine.
Ms. Hall,
Helen.
Mr. Lubin,
Helen.
Mr. Robinson,
Helen.
Mrs. Sherlock,
Catherine.
Mr. Paul.
Ms. Lowell.
Roll call, Council President. We would have 4 yeses for Helen and 2 for Catherine.
Thank you.
Passes 4-0, 4-2, I'm sorry. Helen, a whole. As the Council Vice President.
Now we'll take nominations for President Pro Tem. I nominate Catherine Price Engelhardt.
I nominate Andrew Lubin.
Any other nominations? Okay, roll call.
Okay,
And
so
the choices are Andrew Lubin and Catherine Price Engelhardt.
Ms. Sherlock,
Catherine.
Mr. Robinson,
Andrew.
Mr. Lubin,
Andrew.
Ms. Hall,
Andrew.
Ms. Price Engelhardt,
Catherine.
Mr. Paul.
Ms. Price Engelhardt.
2, 3. Again, the nominations are 3-3.
May I say something?
Please.
I'd like to withdraw my name. I appreciate the nomination, but in the scheme of not spending all night here, I'm happy to withdraw my name.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will take one more vote. Mr. Lubin withdrew his name. We will now vote again for,
Can we do a voice vote?
Yes, you can do a voice vote with one nominee.
a voice vote for Catherine Price Engelhardt for President Pro Tem.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
All ayes, Council President. Thank you.
Great.
Mr. President, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's actually, it's a request for the pro tem position. I would like to make sure that we immediately get a Catherine's name on the bank, the bank statement so that she can actually sign checks. That's what the pro tem, they're the third person to sign when necessary. So it's,
I'll defer to the borough manager on those details.
okay.
That's administrative matter as far as I'm concerned.
And I'm not sure what your previous process was. I'm used to having the finance persons on that, the signatures, but I could defer to Scott. Is there?
We can discuss and make sure everything's proper, yes.
Certainly.
We'll make sure everything's done right.
Yeah, I mean, if the president and vice president, like you normally would have 3 signatures, correct? And the finance person, if you had one at this time, but in the interim, if there's a need for another signature, it would come from the pro tem which has happened in the past. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to announcements and presentations. As I said at the beginning, we had an executive session tonight, but we also wanted to announce that we had executive sessions on August 30th and September 7th at 6 p.m. each night regarding personnel matters and the police. Now I would like to make a motion to add an item to our agenda tonight, item 8T, which would be a call for a motion to retain Jeff Elliott of Kozloff Stout as special counsel investigator for personnel matters and to authorize the borough manager to execute an agreement with Kozloff Stout.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Correct. Right now, this is just adding an item to agenda in accordance with the new rules under the Sunshine Act.
And so we'll discuss it substantively when we get to 8T.
Yes.
Yes. It's a call for motion to retain Kozloff Stout as special counsel investigator for personnel matters and to authorize the borough manager to execute an agreement with the firm.
If I may clarify, this motion is to add item 8T to the agenda.
That is correct.
Yes, I'm sorry, you're correct.
Thank you.
8T, yeah, adding 8T, and when we get to 8T, that will be a call for a motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm learning very slowly, gang. Stick with me.
I just wanted to help.
Okay, no, very good.
Yeah, this agreement to finalize the sunshine requirements, this agreement was received earlier today, as well as them taking a vote here, satisfies subsection E of those new laws. So you would need to take a vote to add it, and we will go forward.
We need a roll call.
Yeah, it can be a voice vote.
Would you like to call for a voice vote?
So,
Add the item?
Yes.
We can have a voice vote for that?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. The ayes have it.
So then we have another motion, which would be 8U for the actual motion.
No.
Oh, 8T is the 8T will be the motion.
the motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was an unlabeled motion,
Oh, thank you.
unnumbered motion.
Okay.
Okay, before we turn to public comments, I wanted to note a couple of other modifications to the agenda. At the end of the action items, we identify appointments, vacancies on the library board and Morrisville Municipal Authority. And as pointed out at the bottom of the page, we also have an opening on the Civil Service Commission. We've gotten a couple of letters of interest for the library board, one for the MMA. I've told another one came in today, but considering that Mr. Parker just left last August, and we're slowly getting our act together here, I'd like to leave open until the next council meeting the opportunity for anyone else, any other residents to express interest in any of these appointments: Civil Service Commission, Library Board, Morrisville Municipal Authority, or the Planning Commission. And I urge all any resident who's interested in the local government and in civics to consider joining, because unfortunately we have the same handful of people that are volunteering for every position because of lack of volunteerism here. So please give some serious thought to joining one of these organizations, and we will vote on it at the next public meeting. Thank you. Now we'll turn to the public comment portion. And first up is Catherine Panzita. And I will give you 3 minutes to talk, and then I'll play the music to cut you off.
Am I on? I don't even need 3 minutes. Catherine Panzita, 401 Hillcrest Avenue. When can we expect you guys to get financial records? Your statements every month when I was listening to this from home or rewatching your things, it's like, we don't have finances. We don't have finances. What really is the problem here, and why not? I just think now's the time of year. Everybody's thinking of budgets for next year. So, we're getting into that time. And when will your next finance meeting be held? And who exactly is on your finance? and I'm just going to state my own opinion. I don't talk behind anybody's back, that I don't say it to their face. I really can't believe that it was so darn important to put somebody in as a VP. But when you had the 3-3 tie, you should have just let it go till you appointed somebody within 30 days and then work together. I think that shows the people that you can come from different backgrounds and work together. But I will say this, 10 years on council as a council person, nobody gets less information or more information than anybody else. Your vice president's going to run the meetings, set the agenda, do stuff like that. Your president. But you know what? You better all be working together and giving every single person all the information. I did have 10 years. I never made backdoor deals or said, I'll vote for you, you vote for me. I told everybody, leave me alone. I was totally respected in totally 10 years. But I noticed at certain times I didn't always get all the information. And I would hope you all work together and do it. That is the problem in this town. You don't like something, don't go to the event. Don't bash it. You don't want growth, everybody wants the same thing. People really have their good hearts. But it's totally disgusting that people don't work together. If you don't work together, you never go anywhere. At this time, I'm leaving because I have something else to do. I got to go home and do budget. So thank you and have a nice night.
Don Rice.
Question on the sign-up sheet, I wrote resident instead of my address. Is that acceptable now? We started that at the last meeting.
Yeah. So the state of the law is we can't force someone or stop them from doing that. I mean, it's a matter of record to prove you're a resident. Obviously, we know Mr. Rice is a resident. He's been here plenty of times. We can talk about the procedure going forward. But yes, he's.
So I'm okay.
Yes.
All right. Before I start, our attorney, Samuel Stratton, respectfully requests that he be allowed to make a presentation to Borough Council on the legal issue involved in, say, Williamson Park's lawsuit against the borough. He would like to provide an understanding of his legal strategy so you will know what to expect at a court hearing. He's going to tell you what he's going to do. He will also answer questions that council members or the solicitor may have. That's all I have to say about that. Tonight I will speak about a scandalous and impertinent matter. Council was served on November 15, 2021 with Say Williamson Park's lawsuit. Flager and Associates filed their preliminary objection to the lawsuit on December 3, 2021. In their objections, they state that our lawsuit raises, quote, a scandalous and impertinent matter. That matter being, quote, defendants, you guys, have spent money from an escrow account established by Select Mooresville, LLC without Borough Council approval. Here are my comments on that scandalous or impertinent matter. One, Select Mooresville did not establish the escrow account, despite what you guys said. Council should have, but never did. The borough manager, Scott Mitchell, established the escrow account on May 3rd, 2019. Borough Council voted on December 21st, 2020 to authorize staff and professionals to, quote, engage with Select Morrisville and the RDA. They never voted to establish an escrow account. The vote to engage was taken 19 months after Mitchell established the escrow account and 22 months after the first charges were made to the account. How were charges made to an account that did not exist? Our attorney, Sam Stratton, stated in his response to Flager and Associates' preliminary objections, quote, this is a long one, this is irrelevant and illegal. In this case, the practice of raising an escrow account was not approved by the defendants, but was used by the borough to funnel monies to the engineer and solicitor to provide work on the sale and transfer of Williamson Park. Further, the defendants have admitted they are seeking pre-application review of this land development project, i.e., thus admitting what the plaintiffs are contending, which is the defendants are seeking to terminate Williamson Park and make it into a commercial and residential property. The defendants are acting illegally by seeking to terminate an actively used public park without obtaining the approval of Orphans Court. Final irony. The McGrath escrow account was used to pay the filing fee to Orphans Court for Flager and Associates' preliminary objection to save Williamson Park's lawsuit. It is difficult here to discern who their client is. Final thing, if I have the time. Our attorney said, I'll stop.
Okay,
I'll continue next time.
thank you. Mary Renda.
Hello. I'm here to help you get right with the law. To do that, you need to take Williamson Park out of the Morrisville Certified Redevelopment Area. The previous council and borough manager acted illegally to try to take Williamson Park from the public and give it to a private developer to turn this well-used park and green space by the river into concentrated suburban sprawl. This violates Pennsylvania's Donated and Dedicated Property Act, which prohibits the alienation from the public or any part of a public park that has been donated for that use to a municipality or other government entity without first proving to Orphans Court that the use of the park is no longer possible or practical and does not serve the public interest. This is obviously not true about Williamson Park, which is actively used by the public and has been since 1939. To try to get around this major obstacle, the former council chose to ignore and not even mention the Donated and Dedicated Property Act and instead improperly used a law that is not applicable to donated, actively used parks, the Urban Redevelopment Law. This law is applicable to old industrial sites, abandoned derelict housing, etc. Using this inapplicable law, the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority, the RDA, included the park and a number of surrounding properties in an expansion of the Morrisville Certified Redevelopment Area. They did this by issuing a report inaccurately stating that all of the properties within their proposed expanded redevelopment area met one or more of the conditions of blight in the Urban Development Law. The former council voted to approve the report and expand the redevelopment area on November 30th, 2021, just before a number of pro-development council members' terms ended. The present council declined to support the development favored by the previous council, but has kept the park in the redevelopment area. This enables someone who wants to develop one of the lots surrounding the park but needs more space to possibly take part or all of the park. This is wrong. This is illegal. Please remove the park from the redevelopment area and recognize that the park is preserved under the Donated and Dedicated Property Act. Is preserved. Also, I would like to second Catherine's comment. Kathy Panzino.
Thank you. That's the end of public comments. Moving. Yes, sir.
Amending, 143 Robertson Avenue.
I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Manning.
Manning? I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
This is, I had a friend that suffered a stroke on Saturday. Everything's good, and I just wanted to commend the two police officers and the EMTs. You know, when this was going out for, you know, the ambulance squad to be replaced, I wasn't for, you know, being a hospital in Trenton that they're going to deal with, but it worked out great, and I just wanted to say thanks, you know, to the officers and the EMTs.
Thank you.
Sorry about your friend.
Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes. Can we do this together? Borough Council regular meeting of July 19th and August 16th, 2022.
And make a motion that we pass the regular meeting of 7/19/2022 and 8/16/2022.
Second? I'll second it. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Moving on to finance. Is there a treasurer's report tonight?
Yes, you have the treasurer's report in your packet.
Okay. Is there anything that we want to inform the public of from that?
Certainly. There were some questions regarding the length of time that we had not provided the treasurer's report. As everyone knows, we had hired a special accountant to begin to go through our books. We've been doing so. At this time, we do have a financial report for council. That report is still a work in progress. We are still working on any of the items that are normally not input by our admin software. That has to all be put in by hand. So those are the items that are still absent in that report. But we're working currently to get those items in the report and moving forward. Again, this is a work in progress.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Sherlock.
it's a question for Judith. So some of the zeros just mean that they haven't been inputted, is that correct?
Some
0%?
Yes, correct.
I'd just like to comment that taxes prior year are only at 14%, and we're 3/4 of the way through the year, so I'm hoping that there are a number of some deficiencies here. I don't know if that's one that hasn't been completely inputted.
Yes, that would be one.
That's not been completed?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Certainly, your payrolls would be accurate. Those are items that would be input individually into Edmunds, so that would be accurate. Your invoices that get paid every month, those would be accurate. The items that you would not see are deposits that may not fall under Edmunds in any particular category that have to be added individually. So those are, as I said, a work in progress.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have a motion to approve the bill list and pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I have a
Aye.
question, clerk. I have a
I'm
question.
sorry.
I'm
There's a
sorry.
question. I'm sorry.
There's a question. Yes, I was just very curious. It may seem trivial to some, but the cleaning company that we have, their bill is for September. So do we pay them in advance? You know, it says September.
Yes, I believe we pay in advance.
Okay. So, I mean, that's every month we're paying them in advance before the month is over, I'm guessing.
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Okay.
think I made that motion, but did you say second, Bob?
Yeah, now can we,
Andrew seconded.
Oh, Andrew? This one?
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. The mayor could not be with us tonight. He's sick, and we'll skip that report and ask for Chief McClay to give his police report.
As you know, there's a lot on the agenda tonight dealing with the police department. I know I met with you guys in executive session a couple weeks ago. I think we've taken everything I gave you as my wishes. I've been working on the SPCCD grant very hard, very difficult grant. There was an email put out by the councilwoman saying that this was a grant that was basically going to use to supplement the department and take away a lot of our expenses from the police department. I'd like to invite all of you to read that grant very, very closely. Okay, that's not what that grant is meant for. So please read that grant and see what that's all about. Like I said, I worked on it today for 4 or 5 hours. It's not an easy grant. I'm also in negotiations with the county commissioners to see if we can get part of the casino grants to supplement our department, and I think I'm going to be able to get that done. That was something I did email the president, the borough manager, and the mayor. I hope they've expressed those thoughts with you guys about that. It's been a very tough couple months in the police department. We're critically short. We remain critically short. We need to hire. We need to hire officers, and we need to put them out on the street. As you saw, we had a horrible thing happen to one of our officers this month. That puts us even in a deeper hole. So with that being said, I think we got to come up with a 5-year strategic plan. And we got to come up.
Chief, could you speak up a little bit? The mic's not picking up your voice too well.
I think we need to come up with a 5-year strategic plan, and we got to come up with it soon. Your department's in a critical spot right now. With that being said, and then with that motion I just heard tonight, I recognize that name, which bothers me, because I got a feeling I know where that's going. For what reason, I don't know, because the communication still hasn't been very good between the police department's management and the council. We've asked for a lot of meetings with different people, and we've had a few, but there hasn't been many. So when I hear Jeff Elliott, I remember what we did last time with him, and I just got a feeling my name's going to be attached to that, and that's heartbreaking again, because nobody's discussed anything with me. But with that being said, I think the first 5 or 6 things on the agenda are for the Morrisville Police Department. So if there's any questions about those, I'd like to entertain anything anybody would like to ask.
Mr. Parker, so sorry, habit. Mr. Paul.
Yes, Ms. Shaw.
I do have a question for the chief, please. It's not necessarily on these, it's on the report that we just received. And if you could clarify something for me. In August, it said that there were 424 radio calls and then 320 others. I have it here if you want. I'm asking a general question. So that's 744 calls. They're not all calls.
There's something they call pickups.
Okay.
So radio calls are radio calls. Other ones are pickups. So if they're doing a security check at a place, that's a pickup.
So whoever,
and that's what that is. So they're not all radio calls, no.
Okay. So, well, they're categorized as, what's the other? You have radio calls and you have other. So the others are the pickup calls?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But for the most part, with the 320 on the others, are our officer out on the scene for every one of those? Do they respond to those?
They're, like I said, that's like a security check. Checking a store, checking a school, things like that, yes.
What if someone just calls and says they think someone's in their backyard, or where does that fall under?
That's a radio call.
That's a radio call. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have an officer, Owen Eiler, to be hired. Didn't he apply a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, and then he retracted?
He applied a year ago, and the Philadelphia Police Department extended the drop program from 4 years to 5 years. So he stayed around for another year. And now that that 5 years is done, there's no more extensions. So he would like to come to work for us.
Okay.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Manager's report. Ms. Danko?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to touch upon a couple of issues prior to going into my report. I believe it may be best if we make a change with our drop. Each month's minutes, I think, would be advantageous to have them in a separate drop so you can access them much easier instead of going through all of the entire pile that you have looking for each month's minutes. The other item, I know that we had talked about the financials being in a separate drop. What I'd like to do is add the bills list and the financials in a separate drop together. So I think that those items are pertinent information items that may be helpful for you to be able to see the heading as to what they are and then just immediately go to them. So I'm not sure if council has any thought process towards that, but I intend on making that change unless there's something that council members feel that I should not do.
I have no objection. I think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
That's a great idea.
Thank you. Okay, so
Then, Bob,
Yes.
I'd like to say that, you know, I think that would be so helpful to all of us who read, you know, these packets. And sometimes they're overwhelming and to get through them. So I appreciate that offer that you're, you know, ready to do for us. I think it would be helpful for all of us, and I thank you very much.
While we're on the subject of packets and agendas, is there any way that we can get a draft agenda before the Friday before the meeting? I know I've asked this before. I just think, I mean, we have 2.5 pages of agenda, 2.5 pages of agenda items, and we don't know anything until the Friday before. And I just think that's not enough time. And if we could get something, you know, the week prior. Now, I'm not asking for something, you know, every week, as we actually long ago, not too long ago, we used to get one on Wednesday and Friday, which I think was a little bit much, but I think a sample of the agenda maybe a week before. So I think that would be helpful. Then we know what we were actually going to talk about on the weekend.
I do not have the resources to provide something of that nature. At this time, we have a deadline for everyone to adhere to have everything into our office the second Monday prior to the meeting. I have people still sending things in on Wednesday and Thursday. It has been so difficult to even get an agenda together because I cannot get people to abide by the rule. And then I'm told, oh, well, we're going to make sure everybody abides by the rule. And then someone provides something Friday morning and I'm asked to change the agenda.
Well, I would say that if that item is not time sensitive and it involves grant timing or something like that, then it can wait till the next month. Right? No?
That is the rule that we're trying to utilize, but depending on who's asking for these items is how it usually is taken. And I'm trying to be politically correct, but we just cannot have this. So until we would be able to have our rules adhered by everyone, there's absolutely no way that we could have a draft agenda. And I have looked into this. I've asked everyone in the office, was this done before? I was told no.
Well, I'm sorry, but that is incorrect information.
Sure, certainly. And with all due respect,
I just think we're at a disadvantage. Council's at a disadvantage getting that, 72 hours before the actual meeting.
And I'm doing the best that I can. We looked at it as you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We have 5 days to review those items. I don't believe that we can do any better than that at this time.
I guess it's final, but I will object.
And with all due respect, we're doing the best that we can.
Okay.
Ms. Sherlock, we will continue to explore ways in which we can give members of council more advance notice. We all are laboring under the same constraint, and it does hurt your ability to master some of the more complicated issues. But we're, as the borough manager said, we're doing the best we can, but we're looking for ways to improve it.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the items that I had worked on was the Pico Green Region Open Space Program grant. What I was hoping was that we could possibly utilize this grant towards the Williamson Park grant that we already have. I did provide everyone with the email. If we were to try to do something of that nature, that is also a 10% match too. I'm sorry, not a 10%, that's also a 50-50 match also. So if we were able to acquire $10,000, we would have to pay $10,000. So that really does not help us as we were hoping to find some help.
I appreciate you trying. We have utilized this the Pico grant in the past. In fact, that's how we got the stone path from the stage to the bathrooms years ago.
Certainly, and again, it's a work in progress regarding that. I'm trying to look into every avenue that I possibly can for actually all of the grants that we do have that require a match.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. The other item that we're working on currently is the Bridge Street project. This project is currently on hold. There's been some issues out in the field, and we had talked about this at the last month's meeting. There's also some financial items that are taking place right now with the engineering and so forth of this grant. So we just had a meeting today. I'll be providing those minutes at the next council drop. And we're hoping to find a resolution. If not, this project may be on hold until next spring, depending on how quickly we can resolve some of the issues that are at hand right now. You do have the rest of my report. I certainly don't want to lament. If there's any questions that you do have about the report, if you wouldn't mind asking.
Mr. Parker, I have two. The one regarding the cops.
Parker is going on.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. I really do. Mr. Paul, President, that's easier. You met with Darletta regarding the COPS grant, and could you elaborate on that at all? That's totally different than what the chief is doing, correct?
The COPS grant is something that the chief and Darletta have been working on for some time. The items that I'm working on with Darletta with this COPS grant, and that grant is different from the grant that the chief was just discussing earlier. Okay. This COPS grant was something that was done previously in time. And the portion that I'm working with Darletta is getting the reimbursements and so forth, sending in the invoices, and basically managing the grant. These are items that the previous finance director had worked with her, so I'm currently working on that end.
Okay. And one last thing, the road opening occupancy form. I know that we have a charge for people to come in and open our roads. So is this something different, or is this just a matter of getting it on Tracer?
This is the exact same issue, although there's never been a form for anyone to fill out. So keeping track of this could be a phone call or us finding that someone's out there working on the road. So what we've done. Okay, very good.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we charge.
Correct, we do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports tonight?
I think there's.
I have the parking agreement, but I don't know if anybody can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And then it was myself, Chairwoman Nikki Sherlock, committee member, audience, Mayor Bryce Anderson, and Resident Debbie Colgan. The meeting was open at 7:05. Approval of the July minutes were made. I'm just going to kind of summarize. We discussed the seminar that Debbie and I attended. Reconserve, which is a writing and management grant. Also, turning the town into outdoor towns. This was presented by PEC, Pennsylvania Environmental Council, and presented by the CBRPC, Cultivating Homegrown Economies. The discussion regarding the This is in Williamson Park, a date set for September 5th at 9 a.m. until finished. We talked about the Labor Day, but I'm not going to go over that since it's passed. We talked about the tree vitalization program. MEAC has submitted their plans to tree vitalization, and they'll be planting 6 or 8 trees in November. And they have been their plans made, including water diapers and volunteers to assist. The State Williamson Park organization has a big count and is accepting donations for this project. Catherine showed a short clip from the Sussex County Transportation Management Association of a new pilot program called Chuck Up Bicycle Lane. The goal is to get more bikes on the road. We talked about there's a possibility of doing this next fall. It's going to take a while to get it set up, but we wouldn't have to pay for any of it. So we thought it was a good time to do it around the Oktoberfest. And then we adjourned the meeting at 8:15, but a follow-up meeting from our borough manager stopped in, who was left, got a request from a group that would like to have a Halloween dog park, parade park, and we weren't familiar with it, but we didn't have a problem with it. And she also talked about looking to what our budget is for the next year. So, and we'll be talking about that at our next meeting. And when I saw the financials, we were budgeted $10,500, I think, as part of our budget. At this time, we haven't used any of that for the recreation activities, but some will be done for the Oktoberfest in a few weeks. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Can I add to Catherine, if you don't mind, Catherine, the Oktoberfest is October 9th, Sunday, October 9th from 11 to 4, with a number of some food trucks and vendors and so forth, and other activities, fall activities. So just wanted to add that.
Okay, thanks. I'll give a brief report on the Vacant Properties Review Committee. We had our first meeting last week since March, and it was very encouraging. The star of the show was Rick Hobblum from Barry Islet. He's replaced Steve Ware at Keystone doing our enforcement work, zoning work. He's been going around the neighborhoods, leaving notices of for property owners where their property is unkept. He's tracking progress or lack thereof. So far, the results have been very good. There are no candidates currently for blighted properties, but there's some given time that may become that. But generally, it sounds like we're in good hands. Barry Islet, as opposed to just reacting to complaints that come in, they actually drive around town looking for things, citing people, and when they issue a citation, they follow up on it to make sure that there's some teeth to it. So that'll probably be the last meeting we have for a couple of months, but I'll keep you informed of that. Any questions on the Vacant Property Review Committee?
Just, I saw that the Prospect Avenue house is on there, which I'm very grateful for, but we haven't moved on that in 2 years. And that is just, if anybody goes by in the 300 block of Prospect, I know the last person they contacted was in Philadelphia, but I don't think they ever responded. So that's a rough one. As far as Rosemar goes, that's another one that the ladies came to the last meeting to talk about. So I'm glad that they're both on the list.
The Prospect Avenue, the owner lives in Philadelphia. She's indicated no interest in the property. They're waiting for a court date to finally resolve it.
Okay, thank you. And I do appreciate the use of the door hangers, because that's just, to me, that's just saving time and money, and just letting people know, hey, your trash can's been out for a week.
They've had very good results just by leaving the doorknob hangers.
Yeah, we used to have little stickies, but the doorknob, I like the door hangers.
Any other committee reports?
I have a question for
Yes.
Judith again. I'm sorry, Judith. This is, I know we talked about it, but I don't think we found, because they've been very busy, Isaac. So, but we asked about the cell towers on the Stockholm building. And, I saw they added more. Are they too heavy? Are we okay? And I know that the new company didn't have an opportunity to take a look yet, but it's still a concern.
And I thought that was on one of their reports recently, and I may be incorrect, but if it wasn't, they have done reviews, and prior to them coming in, there were permits actually applied for and approved.
Well, I did see one permit, but it was the 400 block of South Pennsylvania Avenue for a tower, which maybe they just had the address wrong, because they're not 400.
Certainly. Well, apparently the permits that were applied for were prior to ISET being here.
Oh.
And so it was some time
Follow
ago, and then the work was done at a much later date from when the permits were actually acquired. So that's why we really didn't know much about it. But from what I've been informed, the proper permits are in place, and they were allowed to do the work that they've done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I make a public service announcement? The Friendly's restaurant on Trenton Road is, as many know, it's closed down right now, but I understand we got in the report that a new restaurant will be taking place there soon, but we don't have the information on it, but that's just for the public. So,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Moving on to action items. Item 8A, call for a motion to approve a conditional offer of employment as a part-time police officer to Owen Eiler.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second?
Hold on.
Okay, either or.
Discussion.
No, I need to know who it was. I'm sorry. Who made-
Nancy moved, Andrew seconded.
You can, yeah, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? Okay. Can we voice vote on this?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item 8B, a call for a motion to accept Officer Chris Reardon's resignation as of August 28, 2022.
So,
Second.
okay, so moved with regrets, but we wish him luck.
Okay, same. Any discussion? Can there be? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. At this point, I'm going to have to apologize to our audience. We need to take a short break into another executive session. I promise it won't take more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, for,
Personnel.
Personnel issues.
So Scott Robinson and Catherine Engelbert, we're going to take the telephone into the room with us, if you'll bear with us.
10 minutes.
That was good. That was about the quickest ever, right?
Ever. Or at least I thought so. Maybe I need to get back there. Oh, Lord. I better go check.
Do we have to do anything to call the meeting back into order?
So yeah, the meeting's back in order.
We're back in order,
Maybe.
barely.
And Jane Berger is still here, yes. And the chief, glad to be here.
Okay, we're moving on to action item 8C. There's a call for a motion to provide a conditional offer of employment for Act 57 to hire full-time officer August Mitchell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. I'm a little disappointed. My first ward is really in need of something other than what we're voting for, so I'm just sad about that.
And I'll just say that we recognize the serious truck problem in the first ward, and we're keeping that in mind, and hopefully we can do another hire again very soon.
Mr. President, I would just recommend a roll call vote for this item.
Okay?
Ms. Sherlock,
Yes.
Ms. Price Engelhardt,
Yes, the motion was to appoint August, is his first name?
Oh, okay,
August Mitchell as full-time police officer.
yeah, yeah.
Mitchell
Hey,
August.
it's Mitchell August. I thought
Okay.
Mitchell was his first name.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Officer August, wherever you are. We won't do that again.
I apologize, I wasn't hearing, I didn't hear what it was.
So it would be Officer Mitchell August.
Well, is it,
The vote would be for Officer Mitchell August. And Catherine, you were a yes.
yeah,
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Lubin,
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Hall,
A reluctant yes.
okay. Mr. Paul,
Yes.
I apologize. Okay. Roll call, Council President, 6-0, passes.
Mr. Paul,
Yes, Ms. Sherlock.
I'd just like to, congratulations to Mitchell August. And as was just mentioned by Helen, and I think in yourself, we hope in the very near future that we'll be able to hire another person. And I mean near future.
Indeed. Item 8D. I'm sorry, Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, being on the Civil Service Commission, when the scores came out for the consortium, Mitchell was in the top 10 of the scores of the consortium. So I believe we have a fine new hire.
Great. Okay, moving on to item 8D. Call for a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Police Association and the Borough regarding the implementation of a temporary sick bank.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just like to say that I appreciate the rest of the officers coming to the Pickard family during their need. And I think it's a great idea.
I agree. All in favor?
Aye.
I know we just voted, but do you just want to explain to the public what exactly this is?
Yes.
Certainly. Due to an officer's son passing away, he will need some time off. And what the Police Association had come up with was how could they donate some of their sick time for this officer. So I had looked into this and came up with the process of a memorandum of understanding. And this will allow the officers and the chief to donate up to a certain amount of hours of their sick time, and it will not be replenished back to them. It would be given to the officer whose son passed away, and it would be a final item. Nothing would go back to them or anything of that nature. So I have commended the police department for asking and requesting this to take place, and move very quickly with this, and very happy to say that council is also in agreement, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that's taking place.
I second that.
Thank you. Item 8E. What? Oh, I thought we voted.
We voted.
We
voted.
voted.
Did you do all eyes?
Yeah, we voted by voice.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear all eyes.
And then we made some subsequent comments. That's what threw you off.
I apologize, I didn't hear the all eyes.
Okay, item 8E, call for a motion to ratify authorization of Chief McClay to begin PCCD grant application process while providing council with grant information and, if any, required monetary match.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Item 8F, call for a potential motion after discussion regarding request for a temporary waiver of the 60-hour limit for part-time police officers through November 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
I'd like to know more about it. Why November 22nd?
Chief, there's a question for you. Mr. Lubin asked you a question.
It's regarding the, what date did you choose?
Did it have to do with the time frame? Because we were doing it like months at a time or 3 months at a time?
I really can't tell you that.
Yeah, I can't remember the last one we did.
Then who?
Looking at that, I'd love for you to amend it at least another week later to get through the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
But, I'm hoping by then I have back, Brad's back, and hopefully Justin's back, and I'm back to having 8 officers.
If I may comment, there was an email that was sent requesting at least another 30 or 60 days. So that's why that date was chosen.
Okay. I think that came from the mayor, I guess.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't, yeah. So, I think logically, if we're going to do that, I think December 1st might be a little bit more of a logical date to get us through the Thanksgiving holiday.
Can we amend it to that?
I would be amenable to the amendment.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, so just,
I make a motion to amend it.
Second.
Through December 1st, 2022.
So do you know, like with the hiring of the part-timer and are we going to be in need of all those extra hours or?
Well, as you've seen up to now,
12
a lot of part-timers can only work a certain amount of hours. The officer that's coming on, he has no other part-time job going on, no other full-time job. So he'll help us. And also bringing now Mitchell on, he's taking a whole spot that was, open for the last 3 weeks. So things have gotten a tiny bit better. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully Brad's back by then and, Justin's back and better.
Okay.
That's what really hurts is when you have 40 hours open.
yeah.
You got to fill.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul, question?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a motion by Helen to amend, which we all agreed, but do we need a second on that, or was it just?
You got a second.
I got a second.
Bob did second.
Oh, we did the second? Sorry.
Chief, can I ask,
I'll do a second.
Mr. President, can I ask a question of the chief?
Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to ask about Justin within reason?
You like to what?
Justin, when is he, do you have an idea when he might be coming back?
No, I think it's very preliminary right now.
Okay.
I mean, we're only looking at, it's only been a week since we, buried his child.
And yeah, I understand. I didn't know whether we're looking at 2 weeks, 2 months, or if it's just,
I'm hoping he's back tomorrow.
okay.
I haven't had that discussion, and I'm really going to have that discussion with him very, very soon.
Okay.
Just even if I can get him in just for a day here or a day there, and I got to really sit down with him and find out whether I need to provide him any kind of help, psychologically or what. We just have.
Okay.
I need him to get him through this.
I know it's not easy, but you got a department to run at the same time. Okay.
And he's part of that department.
Yeah.
He's part of the family,
Mhm.
and you got to make sure the family doesn't fall down around itself.
Exactly. Okay, thank you.
I will be having that discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Paul, before the chief goes away, the next motion, I have a question. When we get through this one. When we get through this one.
Okay, let me get to the next one then.
Well, we didn't vote on this one
We
yet.
need
Get
to
the first vote on the amendment.
Oh, we
and then
didn't vote on we didn't vote on the December 1 extension? Okay.
No.
Can we vote on that?
Yes.
Voice vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
All right, now vote on the initial motion as amended. To include,
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
So moved.
no, you've already made the motion. You just need to just vote now.
Okay.
And this
Aye.
was, yeah, aye.
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 Here you go.
Okay.
It was a little messy.
It counts, chief. It's okay.
Moving on to item 8G.
Through December 1st.
We're calling for a motion to approve the Morrisville Borough Police Department in conjunction with Solid Rock Youth Center to host a Halloween movie and a truck and treat at Williamson Park on October 28, 2022 from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Free event for all. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I just want to know what kind of trucks you have.
No, it's not trucks.
It's supposed to be trunk, right?
Close.
I thought it was trunk or treat, but I thought maybe there's something I didn't know.
Will be in the future.
I'm not sure I understand trunk.
So,
The email says truck.
so instead of you know how you go to house trick or treat, you bring your car, you open your trunk, and all the candy's in there, and
And
the
you
kids go car
decorate
to
your
car.
trunk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Decorate your trunk.
So
Yes.
I have a question. So the school has a trunk or treat as well. Is this going to coincide with it at all, or?
No,
Okay, so they have it on a different day?
don't know.
Oh. I know, but if they have one in the evenings, does anybody on the school board committee know?
No, that wasn't discussed.
Is that done by the school or for the Parents Association?
I don't know. I just know it's at the school.
Yeah, the school supports it, but mostly PTO, I think, gets them moving. I just want to see, what is, the 28th is a Friday?
Correct.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I can find out, but I don't know that it's going to change this date. I don't know.
No, I like that Friday night event. And there's, if they do, even if they're just doing their trunk or treat, they're not doing a movie.
I know, but I'll be honest, I've never been to the school event, but I hear it's a big deal and, kids are there. And so I just don't want,
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll make a phone call to them tomorrow. And I'll find out. And maybe
Okay,
we can negotiate something.
I mean, I can give a preliminary approval. I just don't want, just competing events for the same day.
No preliminary, either all in or all out.
Oh, geez.
Okay, do we have any other discussion? Can we vote on it?
Did we have a second, I guess?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Item 8H, call for a motion to acknowledge receipt of the annual minimum municipal obligation forms for both the police and non-uniformed pension plans to be submitted to the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System by October 3, 2022, and authorizing the borough manager to execute the necessary documents.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion.
If I may, Council President, in your packet this evening, you have the MMOs, as what they're called, with all the factual figures on the paperwork for you.
Okay.
So we're in a good position, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we always are.
Our pensions are fully funded.
Yeah. That's great news.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Item 8I, call for motion to approve a millage payment in the amount of $48,000 to the Morrisville Fire Company as per the 2022 Fire Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Maybe the chief can answer this. No, not about this.
Okay.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
Mr. Paul, just
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
mention the fire department has their annual, October, first of all, is the Fire Prevention Month, and they have their annual event, which I know was just put on the board. I just don't have the date. October 9th, Sunday, October 9th? Wow, same day as the Fall Fest. Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And they do a contest with the schools also, an art contest.
Item 8J, call for a motion to approve a millage payment in the amount of $25,000 to Capital Health as per the 2022 EMS fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
October 11th, Firehouse Open House.
Thank you.
30
Okay, Monday night. Thank you.
Great. Okay, item 8K, call for a motion to award the annual 2022 to 2023 consortium salt bid as bid through the Bucks County Consortium to Morton Salt, Inc. at $67.76 price per ton delivered and $67 even price per ton undelivered. Contract to run to September 30, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Has that price gone up or down or with inflation? Do you know? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't remember last year's.
I do not know.
All right.
But it's worth the 76 extra cents to deliver, that's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Um,
I'm sorry, give me a second.
It was Nancy and Andrew.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm opposed to snow, so we don't have to use it.
Don't confuse us. Item 8L, call for motion to adopt an ordinance of the Borough of Mooresville, amending Chapter 370 stormwater management ordinance to be consistent with updates to MS4 guidelines.
So moved.
Happily seconded.
Discussion.
Just want to make mention that our engineer went over this and had provided us with a report of the changes, and they look good to go.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Item 8M. I'd consider a call for a motion regarding letter from the TLT Foundation to allow the foundation to plant a tree and place a bench along with a memorial plaque in Williamson Park in memory of the late Gene Shippos at no cost to the borough.
Can someone else make this?
I have a
Can you
motion.
make it?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Scott did.
Any discussion?
Yeah, who's Gene Shippos?
Okay. Gene Shippos.
She was a long-time resident of the borough, was here. Nancy, I know her kids. Nancy,
It explained it in the
she passed away from
ovarian cancer. Yeah, there was, the letter that was sent to us explained who she was and the purpose of it all. I did talk to the MEAC regarding the tree, and one of the 7 or 8 that they're planting will just be one of those trees. So it's not in addition, it's in the same bank of trees. The only question now is, and they'll pay for that tree, is the bench. And I don't have the answer to that. I don't know what this council's desire is. I don't know which bench they would use. I mean, the benches up on the levee are nice. I like those. Do we go with, the new kind of composite material? I don't know. We can refer to, I suppose, John or somebody.
And that was what I was going to mention, that I think it would be best in John Lader's realm to work with the persons that are going to donate these items.
Okay.
I think that would be best, because then he would know where it would be placed or if there's a replacement needed. And
that would be
and
up
so
to,
forth. So I was
you
going
know,
to
John
put
and so
John in
forth.
contact with
Okay.
The president of the Teal Foundation.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Steel
so I
Foundation
know-
local, or do we know them?
There, go ahead.
Nancy?
No, I don't want to appear as if I'm in too much in favor, so let somebody else speak. Go ahead. I'm trying to pull myself out of it. That's why I asked him to make the motion.
Certainly. Nancy is on the board. So I just wanted to,
I'm one of the trustees.
one of the trustees.
It's a collaborative foundation from New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Correct.
And as per the letter, we collaborate with Fox Chase, as well as some other high-profile cancer research centers in New Jersey. We've had a rough couple years because normally we raise $20,000 at our annual event, and we haven't been able to have one. So hopefully by next year we'll be back on board. But Jean Shippos she's lived in town for 45 years. She passed away 2 years ago of ovarian cancer. She's the one who started the foundation. So.
And I was really hoping that the press would take on Morrisville a little bit more regarding all of this. I noticed that there were other municipalities that the press had written some very nice articles about.
Right.
So I'm not sure if this council is amenable to that, but I think anything that happens in Morrisville that's positive, really the press should be writing about it.
And we'll be sending them pictures of the ribbons, and hopefully the Morrisville Times is going to do something. They kind of like it ahead of time. But I would mention also that last Wednesday there was a short memorial service. It wasn't really a memorial service. It was a remembrance on the bridge, because the lights were going to be lit teal for half the month of September, because we share it with another cancer. And but due to some malfunctioning, it was just a crazy neon lights, but we had it anyway, and just had a little memorial service where we recognized the 625 women in Pennsylvania that died of ovarian cancer last year, and I think it was 340 New Jersey within our district, within our jurisdiction.
So if I can interrupt, my understanding from looking at this and listening to you guys, the discussion at the bench, how much it costs, where it is it composite, is it asphalt, is it solid gold? We're not paying for any of that. It's all
No,
taken
there's
care of.
no, they're paying for the tree and the bench and the installation of the bench, whatever that would entail.
Then I'm all for it.
Okay.
Not ovarian cancer, but for the Cure Foundation.
So I just have I'm all for this. I'm not against this, but I know that at one of the rec meetings, we had discussed moving some of the memorials to Patriot Park, like maybe the Rotary flag, and there's another memorial for a soldier, Officer Costello. So is this something that we want? Because if we're going to do things in the park, create a running track or whatever the plan ends up being, is this going to interfere? Do we want to perhaps consider putting the memorial at Patriots Park, or maybe even at the entrance to the nature preserve?
You mean this particular one, or you mean the others?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
the rec committee talked about it, so
Yeah.
I'm just bringing it to all of council's attention.
I can't speak to that, but I would say, I don't know that Jean was a veteran, and I know that Andrew mentioned, we should do something for the veterans. You mentioned that at the last meeting, and that's when we also said that possibly, like you said, gather them all together. I don't know, the decision that the Costello one is down there by that baseball field had something to do with him loving baseball and playing baseball and his family. But I mean, moving them, I think, I don't care where we move them, but I think they should be all together. But this is not this is just a small plaque on the back of the bench. It's not, it's not an actual physical monument. The bench I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it might be nice, because we have nothing at Patriot Park. That's all, I'm just bringing it up as a suggestion.
Well, if everybody's amenable to that, you're right.
Mr. Later, you listen to that? There's nothing at Patriots Park. There's a bench coming in. Make it happen.
Well, there's a lot of people that have asked for benches up there somewhere.
Yeah, but these people are paying for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's move on. We got a lot of stuff to cover here.
Well, we need to
You can
vote.
approve it and then figure out later with John Later and whoever else is involved of its placement.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, item 8N. Call for a motion to approve entering into a one-year agreement with Huff Associates to collect and submit the 2022 this is a type of...
No, it's actually the 2022 in 2023 recycling performance grant.
Okay,
Yeah.
for $4,000, whatever that means.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
It's a service we pay, and they try to find us all the recycling money they can.
How have they done the past couple of years?
Well, you can look at the financial.
They've done very well.
good.
$35,000.
So it's worthwhile. Okay.
Correct, yes.
Yes. They pay for themselves, plus.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Item 8O. Call for a motion to send our borough solicitor on behalf of council to the zoning hearing to oppose the use variance request for 70 East Bridge Street property.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to send the borough solicitor with our best wishes for success, knowing that we're really against more cigarette shops in town. And make it really difficult for these people. Because otherwise, the variance we pass doesn't make a difference.
For the benefit of those who don't know, 70 East Bridge Street property had been a smoke shop. It's been sold to a new owner who wants to revive it as a smoke shop. And therein lies the rub. But because it was a previous accepted use, it's going to be hard to.
It's not going to be.
Anyway, I don't want to get into the.
There's more legal issues than just our ordinance is the best way to put it.
Right.
Just for the residents, we did pass an ordinance that would stop or prohibit future smoke shops from coming to Morrisville if they were within so many feet of a canal, of the park, of a church, et cetera, et cetera. So they're trying to go against that ordinance that we passed.
And not only that, you made it a conditional use, which means they need approval from was it conditional use or special exception? I believe it was conditional use.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a conditional use, which means they had the council, which we could put additional conditions on them as we see how they plan on developing it. So part of our argument that we do have, I can get into that as well.
Okay.
I like the term conditional conditions.
We'll be looking forward to hearing how.
Should have been additional. Yeah, you're right. It should have been additional conditions.
Yeah, but hey, conditional's better.
Yeah.
Shall we vote? Do we vote?
Not yet.
Did
You
not
need to
vote
All
vote.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
Moving right along there, Bob.
Item 8P, call for a motion to ratify execution of a Pennsylvania DOT pedestrian hand-man countdown signal improvements, no municipal match required.
So moved.
Sure, why not? Oh, excuse me, let me second that.
Discussion.
This is the green light go, is that correct?
Correct.
It's the hand man. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Item 8Q, call for a motion to ratify execution of letter of support regarding RCAP grant for Stockholm building.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, is this basis that debacle from the county of a couple weeks ago?
This is the letter that I wrote,
Okay,
circulated to all of you
Okay.
with your acquiescence.
thank
Could you just tell the public?
It,
Like in
Yeah, well,
summary.
apparently the county commissioners think that we may have put us on a short list of 9 potential projects to be funded by a surplus that the outgoing governor has in his budget for municipality improvements. And they've suggested that the Stockholm building would be a perfect recipient for that. So they're putting in for it for a $3 million grant, and we'll see how it turns out.
Fingers crossed.
And it requires no matching money from us.
sounds good.
Okay. Item 8R. Oh, I'm sorry, did we vote on that?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Item 8R, call for a motion to approve first annual Williamson Park Oktoberfest, October 9th, 2022, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., sponsored by Parks and Recreation Committee.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, questions, Catherine or Nancy or both. What events, what vendors, what's planned for 5 hours?
Is she still on?
One hopes, she's committee chairman.
She might be on mute.
Hello, Catherine?
We might have to take those votes down to 5.
What's your numbers?
Well,
Hello, Catherine?
anyway, I'll just move along. Oh,
Here she is.
So what did you want, Councilman Andrew?
We want to know what's going on at this event. What do you have planned? What vendors are coming in? What kind of food trucks are you having? Do you have anything else planned for this?
Yes. So the event starts at 11. Currently, we have 7 food trucks signed up, all the way from Smoke and Joe's to bakeries to a lobster truck. We have several different venues that have agreed to come. We have probably about, I'd say close to 20 vendors that go from craft to informational to all kinds of things like that. That'll set up either tents and tables throughout the event. We also contacted the transportation Nancy?
Transportation Management Association, TMA.
Bike rodeo?
Yeah, they're going to have well, they're not going to do the bike rodeo that day, but they will be there with information. And I also asked if they could do a car seat check. So they're working on that. They do that car seat check.
We also have been donated the funds to pay for a live band called Fed. I guess they're pretty well known. They'll be there throughout the day. And then we have a pumpkin pie eating contest for kids. And we also have a contest for the kids to bring either their decorated or carved pumpkins. And that'll be going on starting at 1. And I've already got judges for that. So we've got a full day of activities and fun. And the public has really rallied around it. We had some struggles there for a bit, but people are coming through for it.
That sounds good. Do you have any are you doing any advertising?
Yes, it has been on Facebook. It's on the Pat and Bucks County Live. And then because I didn't know who my band was I've had flyers going out, but tomorrow I have the posters with the band's name on it and stuff, because I think that'll be a big draw, having live music.
And I think, is it Freds or Feds? F-R-E-D-Z?
No, it's F-R. I thought it was Feds too, because there is a band called that. It's Freds.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No,
What's the name of the band again?
F-R-E, right? Yeah, I had it as Feds, but it got quickly corrected. It's Freds, F-R-E-D-Z. I just saw a picture. They were there a few weeks ago next to, was it 5 to 9 or whatever that bar is?
Oh, the 5-4? Something? Okay.
We're doing good.
We are on a good track now, if I can just say something. We did have some struggles because there was a woman who was originally planning on helping us. This was back in May when it was decided. And this is a person that normally gathers many trucks and vendors for events. The trucks were still going to pay their $25 to us, but she would do all the advertising and so forth and so on. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, it became very ugly on Facebook with numerous people harassing her, bothering her, negative. This happened in June also, and she had to block those people because so she has pulled out. As far as, organizing it, but we're still getting it together and we're moving forward. But my comment just tonight is that the hatefulness and the vitriol is just, it's besides not being called for, it's just horrible that, you want to do something in town and then you have a small faction of people that are just being so negative about it. And
well, that's my question. That's my question about the advertising, because Facebook, those people on Facebook, seem to pop up all the time. That's why we do our car show events
Right
away
away
from Facebook.
Simple as that.
Relatively successfully.
On Facebook and set up
there's a Facebook event page also specifically for this.
If the people found out what was going on, it just went viral. I mean, it just went all over the town. People are calling me and telling me, we'll be there. What do you need us to do? Because everybody else gets to have stuff like that. And we want it here in Morrisville too. And so, it almost rallied more people around.
Yeah.
That want this to happen. And that's really says something about our community.
Yeah.
The majority of people, are really good people and want good things for them.
Right. It did backfire on the negatives from the negative people, yes, but still, it's worth mentioning how much was happening.
What was their problem? Like, what were they complaining
Well,
about?
some of the comments were that they didn't, they said by having food truck events, we're taking money away from our restaurants and our businesses in town, and we shouldn't be doing these, these kind of, I think that was the main thing. But, and.
No, that we're paying for this instead of, new roads there.
Oh, yeah, that's, and.
But you can't explain to people that it's a totally different budget. And we really haven't spent any money in our budget or.
Except for paint. Paint.
That's it.
Yep.
So, it's kind of frustrating, but that's a very sensitive to people.
So can I make a suggestion? Like, I've been to fairs where people, like local restaurants have tables set up and they have hot plates. Maybe invite a few if they want to come down in addition to the food trucks.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And I'll take that, so thank you for that idea.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Item 8S. Thank you. Call for a motion to consider appointment of Jason Manis to fill 4th Ward vacant council position to complete a term expiring January 2nd, 2024, that being Ted Parker's term. Now, at the beginning of the meeting, I suggested that we keep open the potential for appointments to the other to the boards and some of the other authorities. However, this one we really have to move within 30 days. So that's why I'm asking for a motion tonight to move Jason Manis's candidacy forward. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Why do we have to move it forward? Why can't we let it slide to next month with the others?
Because we're supposed to replace council members within 30 days of the effective date of the resignation, which in Ted's case was August 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So I couldn't find his phone number on the resume he sent. I wanted to call him today just to talk with him. Did we have one?
He was reluctant to provide one yet. I do not have one.
Did you ask him for one and he didn't give it to you?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
I'd say bear that in mind in voting on his candidacy.
Yeah, if he's a public official, wants to be a public official, don't we get to talk to him? Or is this a done deal?
Well, nothing's a done deal.
Well, I guess if we're not allowed to talk to him, maybe it is.
He would provide it.
What was
Well,
that?
I mean, personally, I think anyone who applies for any of these positions should be providing their contact information. But I guess we don't have anything specific that requires it.
Did we have an email for him though, right, or no? Was that provided? No.
At first, I didn't have any of that information, and I did request it, and now I do. It's in the packet.
Okay.
I do not have a phone number as of yet, but I do have an email and an address now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody know him? Because I didn't get a chance to chat with him.
I didn't get a chance to chat with him. I was curious about him being here, and I just saw this. But I am aware of him. I do know him. He lives on Delora Drive.
I met him at a Democratic Party meeting at Catherine's. Spoke to him. He seemed like a reasonable fellow.
He's, I don't know his exact age, but I think he's mid-30s.
Yeah, I met him at the same party. He struck me as young and extremely busy, so I wonder how much time he has.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or should we do this by roll call? Maybe we should do this by roll call.
Yeah.
Yeah, roll call, please.
You don't have to.
Yeah, roll call. That's when we might as well make it clear.
Roll call, Council President. Ms. Price Engelhardt. Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Lubin.
No.
Mr. Paul.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherlock.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Council President, 5-1 passes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're rounding third and heading home. Other business.
AT.
Oh, AT.
AT.
Oh, I forgot AT. How could I forget AT? Yeah, call for a motion to retain Kozlov Stout as special counsel for personnel matters and authorize borough manager to execute an agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Now, is there any other business?
Well, I don't know if it's other business or borough officials. So I've been talking with, as everyone knows, Philadelphia Avenue is going to be closed and all traffic is being diverted to South Pennsylvania Avenue. I was on the phone with PennDOT for 2 straight days trying to get that stopped so that all traffic would be moved to Tybird Road. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But because of the lateness of notice that they sent out to us and them trying to maneuver so quickly. However, they did say that the road probably would not be closed for 2 weeks, which is great news, and that it would probably be done much, much sooner. So it would only be for a small period of time. In those discussions, it was also told to me that the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit is happening. Tomorrow, PennDOT will be out on South Pennsylvania Avenue marking where the new signs will be going, and they have graciously, because of the volume of new signs that will be needed, they have graciously donated them to the borough, which is great news because that's not a cost now we have to bear. The additional thing that they will do, and that 25-mile-an-hour signs, they should be up probably by mid-November, probably sooner, but they just didn't want to give me a date, in case something happened. They are also going to paint 25 mile per hour on the streets, and that will be where you are entering Morrisville at Post Road. There will be a big 25-mile-an-hour sign, and then they're going to look tomorrow to see where else that could be. Probably closer to Philadelphia Avenue, but it may be even closer. And they were thinking about putting it also at the cemetery. And they will be bearing the cost of that. However, they don't paint after October, so that probably won't happen until the springtime. So it's good news and bad news.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
For general discussion or,
Other business?
well, it could be other business. I wanted to bring up the noise from Snipes and wanted to know what we can do. Their music is going until 1 o'clock in the morning. I feel like it's Kathmandu all over again. But that and fireworks for no particular holiday, just hot fireworks at midnight, 1 o'clock. So is that something we can send a
Falls
friendly letter?
Township?
I was going to
It
say,
is.
Snipes isn't
Yes,
part of
it is
Morris.
Falls Township, but
So
it borders.
why are we talking about it?
Well, because it borders us. It's affecting our,
We got enough problems, I think, on our own.
well, I don't think that's the right attitude myself, but
That's my attitude. I stand by it.
Well, I mean, I've had residents also call me about Brighton Industries because of on Route 1, the huge amounts of dirt, and that the dirt, when they're moving it, the dust is flying over into Fuseyville and all the homes are covered in dirt. There's not much we can do about that. It's Falls Township.
well, you can ask Brighton to water their piles of mulch.
May I make a suggestion, not to interrupt? Whoever is making the complaint, could they call Falls Township and make the complaint to Falls Township? I think that would be a very proactive way to achieve something.
I will pass that along to all of the residents on Althea Avenue.
I mean,
This is not just one person, this is an entire street.
certainly,
Because
so if they
back up.
could call.
I mean,
Falls
I
Township-
hear it at my house at 10:30 at night, so. All right. So there's no movement for us to, have a friendly phone call or anything
Right.
Okay?
Any phone calls? Anything else?
Yes. I wanted to know, I know I'll be going to the conference this fall. I have
Conference.
the PSAB conference. I have, I'm registered with them, and I have registered for a hotel, but I want to know what our process is, our procedure. I mean, seem confused.
I've sent several emails regarding the process. It hasn't changed. The process is that I had originally requested that if PSAB is able to invoice the borough for anything, that the applicant, being yourself, should ask PSAB if they're willing to invoice the borough. If they're
And they will.
Yeah,
They
and
will.
we've already, actually,
Right.
it's
So,
already.
but I guess my point is, do we need to approve that as a council, or that's just going to be administrative? I guess is my question.
Approve that as a
We,
council.
we do.
We do?
Yes,
Why?
because it's a spending of money, we do approve this. So,
Right.
so you as council, I believe, have two choices. And I may defer to our solicitor. I have seen it in the past that council members would ask permission prior to going because you want to make sure that the funds are in the borough budget and that they can be spent. And then council would approve prior. I've also seen it that you're looking at the financials and you see that there is money in the budget and council has approved the reimbursement of these funds after the fact.
So is that true of every PSAB course that we take, as well as every conference?
Yes,
That hasn't been the practice.
I understand that.
Seems to be awfully extreme to me.
And maybe the solicitor would want to discuss that.
I was told that the courses, the PSAB courses would just be billed to the borough and you could take any course you want. That's what the prior borough manager told me.
We have a budget, so at this time, it's really up to the council because the budget that we have is for all of you. So let's hypothetically say if one council member takes 5 courses and another one doesn't take any, and we're still within our budget, that's fine. But now what if Councilman B would like to go to a course and the funds are depleted? So these are some of the things that we really do need to find out how council themselves would like to deal with this. With the money that we have in the budget, would you like to say, let's just hypothetically say we have $10,000 in the budget, or let's say 8,000, and each one of you gets 1,000?
That seems fair.
Again, this is really a council consensus.
Then we trade off. If we don't need the 1,000, I can give it to my best friend, but not my enemy.
I didn't say that.
Well, that's what you're setting up. It sounds ridiculous to me, to be honest with you. Let's talk about this later. Well, not tonight. I don't think
Certainly.
this is the time to talk.
No,
about
this could be talked about at a finance committee meeting,
Okay,
because really it's about spending money.
okay.
But we can still go because it's the second week of October, so we're not going to meet again before then. So
The people who had
What's this
contacted me and
Nancy?
said that they would like to go, we verified the money is in the budget. And
I don't have the paper.
any invoices that we've received so far, we've been paying. And anything that you cannot get that entity to pay for, you would then provide us, the borough office, with your receipts as to, and with the information as to what you had attended, along with the receipts. And then we would provide you with a reimbursement check at that time.
What is the cost of the?
I didn't bring that with me. I think the actual conference is about 185. It's only one night. It runs from,
This the one in Hershey?
And then there would be a
no, it's not in Hershey, it's in Gettysburg.
I know. So that's then
But then
hotel and
your
gas, et
hotels
cetera.
your hotels and gas are what you have to, put out yourself, I guess.
It's around a $500.
Well, it really starts on Friday.
Oh, okay,
It ends on Sunday morning, which is actually
two nights, sorry.
Now, I put it on my credit card, but that's a lot of money for me to come up with. I mean, I'm on Social Security, so, you know,
But you're looking at probably for two people, you're probably looking at $1,000, if not $600, if not $1,200. That should be something council discusses. That's not these $35 courses that are no brainers.
I mean, I came to do this over a month ago, 2 months ago, because you had to get your stuff in, and said that I was doing this. And she said, we'll put it on, you know, she explained what she wanted, and I followed through. But just an FYI, it's pretty hefty fee for me to come out of my pocket before I get a month deferred.
Well, certainly in my
I
answer.
mind the process, and I told you that I would go with it without complaint. I'm just letting you know, an FYI.
Certainly, and I was made aware that everyone was, the people that were going were interested, and I did say that I was unsure as to how this council would want to deal with the process as to approving before or after, although we at the office cannot pay ahead on these items. There's no way for us to do this. So unfortunately, it's a reimbursement way, or if you're able to get PSAB or whatever entity it is to bill us, we certainly pay by check with our accounts payable.
I can do that.
Certainly. So it's the best that I can do for everyone. And of course, certainly, you're welcome. So moving forward, we really should, you know, discuss a process. Would we like it on the agenda prior, or would you prefer it after?
Well, how about if we discuss it in the Finance Committee meeting in October?
I think that's a wise idea.
Of which Catherine and Nancy are both members, so we can discuss it then.
Do you have the date of that? Just curious. I forget. Isn't it like the third Wednesday or something, or?
We swapped it off with you guys.
Oh.
I forget what the date is now.
Okay.
28th. It's towards the end of the month.
Towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
I think it's the 28th. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 28th rings a bell.
Okay. So, I mean, in the past, there were a number of people that would go. It wouldn't be just one or two. And we would always make arrangements with the hotel, and the borough would actually, and I guess Jane can attest to this, the borough would set up those arrangements, and we even give like a down payment towards it, a piece of it. Like they would pay for one night knowing we were going to stay 3 or whatever it was. So.
Each council person was allowed a certain amount, most of the spring compost paper.
The fall, the June or annual. Yeah. They can go for the fall or some other locations, yes. So anyway, okay.
Well, on the 28th of October, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So September. September.
The finance meeting.
You said October, September.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The meeting is in
You guys want to
September.
do it next week?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So what is the status of the budget? Because it is at the end of September now. Like, are we starting a budget process? When is it going to start?
I'll be getting back to council in regards to some dates.
Okay.
I have another question, but the chief walked away. The school sign on traveling north on Pennsylvania Avenue just doesn't blink anymore, so no one slows down. I don't know. They fixed it once. Maybe John can respond to that. I know that they fixed it once, but now it's not working again. So I don't know if it needs a part. I don't know.
I do know that John's been working on getting things fixed, and I know that getting some parts has been difficult.
And if I can add, one of the suggestions made many years ago was to put slow school ahead on the street, in that school area, and it was, kind of poo-pooed. I thought it made sense, but now that they're willing and setting a precedent by putting it in South Pennsylvania, maybe we can get them to put it on North Pennsylvania. So I don't know. Because it's a state highway, we were told that we had to get permission, which I understand.
And I don't know if anyone did notice, but John had gotten some quotations, and we did an experiment. We paid for some areas to have the heated paint done.
Oh, I saw
And then the Public Works Department had utilized a spray painter in other areas that we have, and they had done the work themselves. So we expended, I believe, pretty much of our budget on the heated areas, and then along with having the Public Works do their own labor. So we will see.
Which holds up best, right?
Which holds up best. And they did a very good job. They did quite a few areas. And I'm not sure if they're still continuing to work on that, John, or if that's completed. It's completed. No.
Which, could you just name one spot where it's heated and the other spot that's painted so that I can check it out? Is heated?
Heated, and one side is, on Bridge Street is painted.
Okay.
We're going to see the traffic, which holds up better, which I'm sure is painted with heated. But
Don't tell me. I will let you know. Okay.
I'm a fan of the heated, so I really was working with John to try to get some of that accomplished. And hopefully in the future, we can have some more funds towards the budget to, accommodate with that. Because it is costly.
Motion to adjourn?
Absolutely, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good night, everybody. Thank you for your patience.
Good job, Mr. President.